Hello, my friends. I hope you have been enjoying a fruitful Lenten season. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some ways that I plan ahead for our meals to make our lives just a little bit easier. I'm also going to walk you through a Lenten-friendly recipe, one that I served our priest when he came to bless our home, and I'll show you a clip of what that looks like. I'm also going to share with you a thrift haul to our local Goodwill and one of my favorite Facebook marketplace finds to date. So I have a lot in store for you, and I hope you'll stick around. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the weather has still remained rather chilly. We've had a few days of sunshine, which have been glorious, and the kids really enjoyed being outdoors, but most days it's still pretty cold, and so we're constantly trying to find ways to keep the kids entertained, but we're certainly looking forward to warmer, sunnier days where we can spend less time indoors and more time outside enjoying nature. As a family that eats home-cooked meals, it takes a little bit of preparation to make sure that I have the time and the ingredients to feed my family hearty meals. And so I like to whip out this weekly planner. I have this on my Etsy shop, and I'll link it for you if you're interested in purchasing a copy. I just laminated it so I can reuse it time and time again, but I like to write down some meal ideas to give me a starting point for creating meals for our family. Sometimes this changes, but at least it gives me a little bit of a rough idea of what I can create based on what I have in my fridge. When you're cooking everything from scratch, the dishes tend to pile up, but one way that I try to think positively about the dishes is the beauty in the things that I am cleaning. I feel like it's important to create a collected home that's curated to your taste, because it makes those mundane activities so much more pleasant when the things that you are tending to and taking care of make you smile and are pleasing to the eye. Now I'm going to share with you a really great Lenten idea for food. Now, we love spinach pies, and growing up in Antiochian Orthodox Church, we had lots of Lebanese influence, and these Lebanese spinach pies, they're also referred to as fatire. They are absolutely delicious, and they pair very well with salad or soup. And all you have to do is use a little bit of yeast, sugar, water, flour, salt, and you can substitute the olive oil for coconut oil if you want to maintain a strict fast during Lent. And I'll share with you the recipe in the description below, but it's a really easy dough to whip up. And for the filling, all I really did was in a pan using coconut oil, I sauteed some onions, some garlic, some parsley, some cilantro, some dill, and then I threw in a little bit of lemon juice, and it comes together so quickly. Of course, you add a little bit of spinach as well to bring it all together, but you just add about a tablespoon or two into your dough, and it comes out so delicious. And it's a nice way to kind of break up the fast and introduce something new, as things can become a little tiring when you're eating a lot of soup during this season. So I've shared my roll recipe before, but I wanted to share with you a twist that I make on that recipe. Sometimes I add cheese, sometimes I add everything bagel seasoning, sometimes I add a little bit of cinnamon and raisins for a breakfast bun. It's actually a fasting recipe. I'll share the recipe again in the description below, but what I do to make it fasting is I substitute the butter in the recipe for coconut oil, and they turn out delicious and fluffy every time. So now I'm sharing with you the spread that I came up with for our priest who came to our home. And this is also just some tips and ideas for you if you would like to invite people to your home during this Lenten season. I think that things that are simple to offer your guests are fruits. I made some everything buns in the fatire that I laid out there. I also offered some olives and nuts and some assorted teas. I used a jewelry organizer to display the teas for our priest, but taking the time to set up your food in some beautiful trays and serveware, it just elevates what it is that you've served, and it shows whoever it is that's coming to your home that you took the time and the care to come up with something in their honor. All right, so now I'm sharing with you one of my favorite Facebook Marketplace finds to date, and it is this wicker trunk. I got it for $20, if you can believe it, and it is such a treasure. I have been wanting to have a wicker chest like this for a long time, but they're usually very costly, and I just haven't wanted to spend that kind of money. And so when I saw this on Marketplace, I immediately made an offer on it, and it is such a beautiful addition to our home. I did want to go ahead and clean it, so I used some Dawn dish soap and I watered it down a little bit in a spray bottle, and I just went at it with a rag to take off any of the dirt and the dust, but it freshened up really well after I put it out in the sun, and it is a great way to introduce some wood tones to my living room. I like to mix a lot of woods, and having baskets is a great way of making everything cohesive. I didn't realize how big this wicker chest was, and so when we first brought it home, I didn't think it would fit anywhere in our home, and I was really bummed. And by the end of the day, after trying it in so many different places, it fit exactly next to this TV console that we have, so it seems like it was meant to be. All right, my friends, so now I'm going to share with you what I found at Goodwill. And the first thing is this little terracotta pot with wheat tied with a chocolate ribbon, and I thought this was just a darling arrangement for the fall time. Truthfully, I feel like this could work for any time of year, but we tend to decorate with these kinds of tones during the fall time. And at $3, I think it was a great deal. And the next thing I found was this little vase. I think it was about $1. And I actually don't have a tiny vase like this, but I've been wanting one because my kids love to pick flowers and weeds for me, and I have nowhere to put them. They're always disappointed in the little vessels that I bring out to save their flower arrangements for me. And so I thought this would be a cute way of displaying those during the summertime when they pick their flowers for me. And I'll be honest, friends, I feel like this thrift haul was not as successful as I had hoped. I was a little disappointed, but what I really did find were a lot of books, and the prices at Goodwill for secondhand books are really good. Because we homeschool, it's really important for me to have a large library of books for my kids to choose from, because I want to expose them to different subjects and topics that pique their interests. And I also want to nurture that love for reading at a very young age. And so when I have different types of books and lots of variety, it helps us to figure out what things my kids are interested in and to help them grow in those areas and to discover more about those topics. So my kids are too young to be reading books at their ages. They're still identifying letters, but they are interested in the illustrations in the book. And to me, that's another reason why I try to find quality books for my kids, because the illustrations really interpret what's going on in the stories. And something that I'm really passionate about is finding what are called living books, and these are books that are beautiful and inspiring. Now, I have a collection of books that are living books that have these beautiful illustrations, and I also have books that are very simple that maybe don't have the same beautiful illustrations but still have interesting illustrations. And for me, there's a balance, because at my children's ages, They're in their toddler years, and I want them to want to read. And so sometimes that means including books that meet their interests. And so sometimes it's okay to have books that are based on some of their favorite little characters, and things that they've seen in movies or in TV shows, because that inspires them to pick up those books and to look through them. At the same time, I do think it's important to still present books that will help them to expand their knowledge and will also help them to think more critically. All right, friends. Well, thank you for taking the time to stick with me through this video. And I hope that I was able to provide you with some ideas for how you can make your life a little bit easier this time of year when it comes to cooking and organizing yourself. And as we progress through this Lenten journey, I hope that you continue to find it fruitful and life-changing. Have a blessed week, and I look forward to sharing more with you all very soon.